Well. I had to wait to make this video because I wanted more news to come out. So we had a lot of news today with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to talk about who the Eagles brought back, who the Eagles lost in free agency on pretty much the second day of the legal, or at least, the first day technically of the legal tampering period. And yeah, there's a lot to go over here. So sit back because we're going to go through everything when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and what's to come next of some of these signings. It was a lot, but we expected this. Let's get into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? We're having a fantastic day today. So, this was the day that we all kind of knew that, we were going to sit back and we were going to watch players go in free agency for the Philadelphia Eagles. And when I kind of look at this whole list of what we lost and what happened, I'm kind of happy that we didn't pay some of these guys the money that they were getting. And I hate the people that come in and they're just like, oh, well, free agency, they get paid too much. Well, no shit. That is the whole reason why they get paid. They get paid because this is free agency. Every player gets overpaid. Every player does not deserve the money they really want, that they want to get. That's the name of the game with free agency. So first, I kind of want to go over a couple things here. One is Jeff Kerr from CBS put out a tweet earlier today talking about that the Eagles were going to make a really, last stand, really big pickup for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, that they were going to do whatever they possibly could to get him on the team. Now, as of right now, as this video is being made, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has not been signed yet, but this was later in the afternoon when Jessie Bates got signed, and it was a hefty deal. Jessie Bates got signed by the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, now the Bengals lost two of their starting safeties. Okay, now Jessie Bates signed a 4-year, $64 million contract. That includes $23 million in year one, $36 million in first 2 years of the deal, which is kind of crazy. Fourth highest paid safety in the league, making $16 million a year, which is absolutely insane right now. So I kind of look at it and I'm like, okay, well, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, what's going to be the market now? And I figured Chauncey would sign right after he knew what the market was going to be like. He could be asking for more money, especially since, he tied the league in interceptions this year and was a major factor in this Eagles defense. Now, I don't get how, Chauncey has been literally flaunting and been doing whatever he possibly can on the internet. And there are, players from the Chiefs, from the Bengals that are, kind of flaunting him to come, to Cincinnati. And I don't know if he's going to do that, but if the Bengals were losing two of their starting safeties, especially Jessie Bates, why would they just let Jessie Bates go and pay Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson supposedly supposed to be cheaper? If you're going to sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, why even let go of Bates in the first place if you weren't going to pay Bates? That's the whole thing I don't get. But this is the way these players are. This is how it works sometimes. I'm really trying to wonder if the Eagles really lost the grasp on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to re-sign with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's still a huge chance that he could sign back. The issue right now is that Jessie Bates just got the fourth. He's a top four, the fourth best, highest paid safety in the league, $16 million a year. Can the Eagles really top that? The franchise tag obviously would have been a lot cheaper than that, but the Eagles wanted to work on a long-term deal with Chauncey because $14 million was way too much for 1 year. So I don't know if we lost this, guys, but I'm hoping, this is the one that's probably going to hurt the most out of all of them. And really none of these other ones that players really don't hurt at all. This one, because he's 25 and he's young and he deserves the money he's getting. But Howie Roseman really trying to retain players. As Jeff Kerr put out the tweet this morning that the Eagles were still in the hunt to retain and re-sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to an extension, which is kind of nuts. But Chauncey's been, their players, tweeting at Chauncey a lot from the Bengals. I just don't get how the Bengals let go of Jesse Bates, but yet are going to sign another high-price safety. It makes no sense to me what they're doing. It makes absolutely no sense. So that one, yeah, Jesse Bates definitely got paid, man. That's the way it goes. A lot of guys got paid really good money. Now, Andre Dillard is gone. Okay, so now the Eagles can't re-sign him. Dillard was, pretty much a 2019 first-round pick. They redshirted him because Jason Peters was here. I thought they kind of did him dirty, and then he started to get injured a lot, and he was pretty much our backup left guard, left tackle for pretty much the last couple seasons, and hey, he didn't really play that bad. But being with the Titans now, a big need for the Titans offensive line that was really hurt. They lost Taylor Lewan. They were a total mess last year when it came to their offensive line, and obviously Derrick Henry didn't have the biggest year. So Dillard could start for that team right now, which is kind of nuts out on the left side at left tackle or whatever. So, losing him, the Eagles were picking up his fifth-year option for $12.5 million, so they, declined the option. They let him walk into free agency, and I was maybe hoping that they would at least sign him back, but it didn't happen, so Dillard is gone after all. The good news that came out of all of this today was Jason Kelce. He is staying with the Philadelphia Eagles for one more year. They said it today. There was actually a video of, I guess it was because Howie Roseman is going to be on the New Heights podcast with Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce, and it was pretty funny. So this was already kind of made up like a week or two ago. So Kelce already said he was already staying here behind the scenes when we didn't know about it, and it was nice. Howie and Kelce took a shot together on camera, and it was pretty cool. But getting Kelce back is one of the biggest moves for this team, because your offense now, especially look, if this offense was losing a lot of players and we were rebuilding, he probably would have retired, because, he's not here to be on a rebuilding offense. He's here because this offense is ready to go. And the only change you're going to have in free agency is Isaac Seumalo, and trust me, these guards were getting paid like tackles today. It was kind of crazy. You move Cam Jurgens to that right guard spot. Kelce has him under his wing the past couple seasons, and you know what? I think it's going to be great having Jurgens next to Lane Johnson, next to Jason Kelce, and working together. Cam Jurgens is going to be a really good player. That's the only change you really have besides losing Miles Sanders. That's really the only thing that you have to deal with your offense right now. Everything else is still intact with your offense, and couldn't be any happier that Jason Kelce is back. This is the biggest move right now for the Eagles. Kelce just staying here for another year is a big one. Okay. Other news, Marcus Epps is gone. Marsha Epps is gone. He signed a 2-year deal with the Raiders. I think it was like $16 million or something like that. I don't know what the figures are, but he is gone. We all knew that he was walking. He was getting a lot of interest. There was a lot of teams, and the news about Marcus Epps going around the league before free agency, man, he's a hard hitter, really good in coverage. I mean, they said all this crazy stuff about him. I'm not saying he's not a solid player, but, he was a backup for us at one point and kind of made his mark, a year or two ago, and really started to get a little bit more attention to be a pure starter for the Eagles. But the Eagles need to revamp that safety position, hopefully with the re-signing of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You have Reed Blankenship that's doing pretty well with a nice sample size we got from last year, and now you go into this whole entire offseason to figure out, what are you going to add to the safety room, because I'm not a big fan of Kevon Wallace. I'm not really a big fan of what else is really behind there. You might have to cross-train some corners in the safety. I don't know. But Marcus Epps is officially gone. Now, the one contract we knew we weren't going to get, one player that we knew that we probably weren't going to retain was Jayvon Hargrave. Okay, Hargrave signed a monster deal. Okay, it was like $80-something million, 4 years. The San Francisco 49ers adding to their defensive line. Hargrave is really only going to work over there if Nick Bosa is lined up on his side, and even Nick Bosa at the end of the year didn't look great. So how much is Hargrave going to be a main factor over there? Well, it doesn't matter because we don't have him anymore. $21 million a year Hargrave got with the 49ers. The 49ers lost one of their offensive linemen in free agency. They didn't want to pay him, so they ended up getting one of our defensive tackles. And 30 years old. I see if Howie Roseman signed him to 21 a year, I would have been pissed. You have to look at it in other ways. As much as everyone's going to be bummed about this, I'm not bummed about it at all, because this draft has defensive tackles. This draft has cornerbacks. This draft has running backs. This draft has tight ends. This draft has a lot of deep positional groups. Okay, when it comes to defensive tackle, find that counterpiece. The Eagles will find that counterpiece. Okay, $21 million a year for a 30-year-old that had double-digit sacks last year, and I already know that the Eagles were not going to pay this man that much money. So I'm like, you could take him for $21 million a year. I'm not taking him for that much. And I would have been pissed off at how he resigned Hargrave for that much money. And that's the market. It was $20 million for a defensive tackle this year. That's the market. That's where it was kind of going. And good for him, man. I'm happy for Hargrave. He deserves it. All these players deserve it. They played well. This roster was in the Super Bowl. Okay, so when you see a roster that's in the Super Bowl, coaches that are in the Super Bowl, all these teams are going to want these players and want these coaches, and that's why your team changes so much, because either you didn't have enough or you had a lot of good players that benefited well in the defense or the offense. But Hargrave deserves all the money, and I only wish him luck going forward. Now, we do face the 49ers this year on the regular schedule, so I'm actually going to be very excited to see, what Hargrave is actually going to do to us. But he is the enemy now. $21 million a year. That's a lot of money, dude. I don't care. I do not care about that at all, to be honest with you. There's nothing on Fletcher Cox yet at all either. He had the emoji eyes the other day, and nothing has happened. The first signing that happened, the first signing that happened today, if you're watching this today, it was T.J. Edwards going to the Chicago Bears. It was like a 4-year, $19 million deal. I think it was like $12 million guaranteed or something. So they were paying. So the Bears have so much cap space and so much draft capital. I mean, they're going crazy. They're going all out. They've signed a whole bunch of more guys. T.J. Edwards now a part of a team that could realistically compete next year if all the pieces fall into place at the right time. I think they're only paying him like $6.5 million a year, which really isn't that bad. The Eagles probably could have did this, but we know how the Eagles feel. It doesn't mean like when a player leaves, it doesn't mean of how good or bad he plays. The Eagles like have to resign him. The Eagles want to move on. The Nakobe Dean era starts for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I'm excited for. All those times where he played special teams last year, where he, was, being a sponge in the meeting room with Nick Rallis, all those great things, okay? And when we were up in these games by a few touchdowns, Nakobe Dean would get snaps, and man, he really just flashed so much to the point where I'm like, this man has got to start sometime. And it was a real bummer when he was sitting behind T.J. Edwards and Kaiser White the whole entire year. It sucks, but now I think Howie Roseman's pretty happy that Nakobe Dean is going to get his shot at that middle linebacker position. The only thing I'm kind of looking at right now is, are they going to get that counter piece? Because I don't trust Davion Taylor staying healthy, and there's really nothing else. They're going to use Patrick Johnson. I don't know who they're going to use at linebacker, but it's pretty nil empty, and they got to find some more depth and some complementary role-playing pieces for linebacker, kind of like they did last year getting Kaiser White, so which was pretty cool. But T.J. Edwards, $6.5 million, he deserves it. He played great for us. He was undrafted. Schwartz didn't use him enough, and the Eagles finally decided to use him, and he was a good player. He was a solid player. Yes, his coverage wasn't great, but, I wish him luck to everything, and he played really well for us. So it was really good. There has been some other news. Now, that was all of the players that have been onto other teams. There's nothing on Bradbury. There's nothing on Chauncey yet. There's nothing on Miles Sanders. Isaac Seumalo's going to get paid a lot of money. It's going to happen. These guards are getting paid like Jesus. Okay, like it's crazy right now with the guard position. Kind of nuts. But Cam Jurgens is going in there. But there has been a couple things that I kind of want to talk about on the first day of the legal tampering. Austin Eikler, the running back from the Chargers, interesting enough, I understand has had an injury history and stuff like that, but apparently he wants to trade out of LA right now. I don't know what the reason is. I guess they couldn't work on an extension, or I don't know, maybe he wanted an extension or something like that. But this is such a Howie move, because he's got one more year left on his deal. The cap hit for him is only $6.3 million, which really isn't that bad. So, obviously, he's available if they really do want him. And I'm just discussing that this is just available. I'm not saying that I want this or whatever, but this is a Howie type move where it's a 1-year deal left on his contract, a low cap number. and a prove-it type deal for him. Go come to the Eagles on a 1-year deal. And then secondly, Calais Campbell is another one, and I understand he is old. I get it. But you can add him as a rotational piece for your defensive line. The Ravens released him. He's not the same player he used to be. He reminds me of Fletcher Cox in a lot of ways where, you want to add more depth to that defensive line. I think with less snaps, more of a rotation, he'll actually play a lot better within a defensive line. And I think it would be a really good spot for him if they really want to give him a chance. So it's going to be interesting what they do, but that was Eagles free agency. I mean, that was pretty much Eagles free agency for the first legal tampering period. The Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation is in the air because of Jesse Bates getting paid, but Jeff Kerr on CBS was like, the Eagles are doing everything they can to bring Chauncey. If they sign Chauncey, never mind Bradbury. If they sign Chauncey, I will be happy. I won't even complain about it. Now, Bradbury, nothing has happened yet. Have the Eagles given him an offer? He hasn't signed yet on the first legal tampering day, so it should be interesting. I'm hoping that he's probably going to get signed tomorrow, something like that. If the Eagles don't pick him up, it is what it is, guys. This corner class is good. With Witherspoon, Gonzalez, Joey Porter, you got so many corners in this draft. Like, I want Bradbury back, but at the same time, like, if they don't sign him, I'm not going to be mad about it because look at this draft class. Slay is going to be back. Slay could work with that corner of the future, that guy that's going to be. So who knows, if Slay gets this extension for a year or two and he's still playing at a high level, or if he doesn't, whatever the case may be with it, he's going to be, and if they draft a corner at 10, it's going to be a really nice joint thing to have Slay here and have your 10th overall pick in whatever corner they want being in the building, which is going to be really awesome. So, like I said, the Bradbury thing, I'm not making a big deal about it. If they sign him, I'll be happy to have Bradbury and Slay back together once again. But at the same time, I think about this draft, and I love what's in this draft right now. And if you have Slay in the building with a brand new corner, your future number one walking into the building, Slay taking him under his wing, I can't really complain about it. Dillard went to the so we lose some depth on the offensive line with Dillard going to Tennessee. Kelce resigns. Kelce ends up staying with the Eagles, which is huge for this offense. Ridiculous. Okay, Marcus Epps is gone. Hargrave got paid so much money at $21 million a year. TJ Edwards is gone to the Bears, where they're really getting a lot of pieces now with, obviously, the big trade that they made with, trading out of the first overall pick. It's going to be a lot of fun to see some of these teams, especially the Bears this year. But we knew that we were losing players. We knew that this was going to happen. We knew everything that was going on, okay? Everyone needs to chill. Everyone needs to relax. Everyone thinks we're the laughing stock right now. This offense is still intact. This defense, Howie has a plan for it. It's too early to tell what's going to happen, but we're going to get pieces in the building. We're going to get pieces. Really, the only official signing we had today, a really official signing today, was Brett Toth. Brett Toth was the only signing we had today. That was a legit signing. Kelce wasn't a signing because he was already on contract regardless, so it wasn't a new deal. But we're waiting on these restructures from Lane Johnson. We're waiting on the restructure or extension from Slay, whatever's going to happen with that situation. I don't know what other player on the team can get restructured for a lot of cap. And I've looked at the chart a million times, and it's only Slay and Lane Johnson that can really free up a lot of money right now. So it's going to be interesting what happens. But guys, I wasn't upset at these. I was really like, hey, good luck. They deserve the money. But I'm glad Howie didn't sign Hargrave to 21 a year. I'm glad that Howie didn't sign Marcus Epps back. I'm glad he didn't make some of these moves. So Eagles fans should not be upset. Rebuild this defense through the draft. Get some rotational pieces for your defensive line. And let Sean Desai coach. Just let him go out there, do his thing, and we'll see what we have in our defensive coordinator and how he's going to designate this defense to where it's going to go this year. So a lot going on, guys. I understand, but I was supposed to come out this video earlier, but I want to wait a few hours to see what more moves would happen. Thank God I actually waited, unless there's more moves happening. Obviously, if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson news breaks, I will be, obviously reporting it. But it's been crazy. Let me know what you guys think of all the moves, the money that they got. Did they deserve it? Are you glad Howie didn't sign a lot of these guys back? Do you think Chauncey is still on the table for the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you think Bradbury has a reason to come back? You know what I mean? So we'll find out, but it should be interesting. I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.